Welcome to part 2 of Tony the Turkey tutorial. We're going to start off with a magic ring in yellow. So grab the yarn and wrap it around your top 3 fingers like this to create an X on one side and 2 parallel lines on the other side. Then take your crochet hook, go under the first loop, over top the second, pulling the second loop under that first loop. Twist your hook and then grab the yarn and pull it through. If you didn't catch that, don't worry, I'll show it again in slow motion. Now we're ready to crochet into our magic ring. So all we're doing is going under both the tail and the ring, and we are placing single crochets in here. We are going to be working 6 single crochets into the magic ring. Just make sure you are single crocheting over top both the tail and the loop of the magic ring. Otherwise you won't be able to pull it shut. So now that we have that, we can pull the tail shut like this. And if you didn't get this on the first try, don't worry, the magic ring is the trickiest part of learning how to crochet. So if you need to replay the beginning of this video over and over again, do not sweat it. So now that we have 6 single crochets, we are going to make our first single crochet of round 2 into the very first stitch. And then we are going to pause and mark this stitch. Then we are going to make an increase in the next stitch. Then single crochet. And then increase. Single crochet. Then increase. So that is it for the beak. There's only 2 rounds of the beak, so now we can remove our stitch marker and close off. So to do that, we are going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through all the loops on our hook. This is called a slip stitch, and it just leaves a neat little way of finishing off. Then leave a tail about 15 inches or so for sewing. Pull that tail through the loop like so, and then weave in your end in the middle. And that completes the beak. For the waddle, we are just going to start off by making a slip knot. So grab your yarn, and I like to kind of twist it with my thumb like this, then pull that yarn through, and that makes a slip knot. I'll show you one more time. So taking it like so, and then twisting it over and grabbing that yarn and pulling it through. And that makes a slip knot. So now you are going to insert your hook and pull it tight. And then to do this waddle, all we're going to do is chain 3, which means we are yarning over and pulling the yarn through the loop, just like so. And then yarn over, pull through the loop. And yarn over, pull through the loop. This creates a little braid. This is actually 3 stitches. In the very middle stitch there, we are going to insert our hook and make a single crochet. So in the middle stitch, make a single crochet. Then in the very first stitch right there, we are making a slip stitch. So again, that is yarning over and pulling through all the loops on your hook. And this is it for the waddle, guys. I know it can be tricky to learn how to slip knot and chain, but once you have that done, the waddle is super fast. And then you can just snip the yarn, leave a tail for sewing, and pull the yarn through. The tail of the turkey is a little tricky, so hang in there. We are going to learn how to do a half double crochet. But once you get the hang of it, it is super easy. So we are starting off with a magic ring, just like so. If you need a better tutorial of this, you can either rewatch the beginning of the video, or I do have a separate tutorial link down below for magic ring. Once you have your magic ring, we are going to be placing 6 half double crochets. So to do that, yarn over, go under the loop, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So again, yarning over, go under the loop, then pull up another loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Again, yarn over, under the magic ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook. This is number 4. Number 5. And number 6. Once you have 6 half double crochets in here, you are going to just pull the ring shut. Again, this is a new skill, so if you have to replay this part of the video to get your 6 half double crochets, don't sweat it. And now instead of closing the magic ring like normal, we are actually going to turn over our piece and continue working. So we are not closing the magic ring this time. So as you can see here, this is the stitch we would normally work into, but instead we are going to chain 1 and turn our work over. So to do that, insert your hook, chain 1, like so, and turn the whole piece over. And then we are going to be working in a half crescent shape like this. So insert your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over again, and pull through all 3 loops. That's a half double crochet. And now we're going to make another half double crochet in the exact same stitch for an increase. Then in the next available stitch, again, we are doing a half double crochet increase. Then another half double crochet increase. And another increase. Another increase. And this is our last increase. It can be kind of tricky to get into that last 6th stitch to make your last increase. Now we have all 12 half double crochets done. And you can see here this is working in like a half moon semicircle shape. And we are going to do the exact same thing, chain 1 and turn our work. So here, chain 1, then turn the work over. And now we're working back again. Make 1 half double crochet in that first available stitch, and then mark this stitch if you want. You don't have to use a stitch marker here, but if you have trouble kind of seeing where your stitches are, you can definitely use stitch markers. In the next available stitch, we are going to make an increase. And then in the next stitch, a half double crochet. Then make an increase. And then a half double crochet. Just keep repeating this until you get to the other side. You should have 18 stitches at the end of this round. So we're coming up on the last increase here, and you should be able to count 18 stitches. So chain 1 and turn your work. So we are going to make our first half double crochet of the round. And then pause and mark that stitch. Then we are going to make another half double crochet. And then make an increase. So half double crochet, then increase. Just keep repeating that pattern until you get to the other side. Definitely pause on the very last increase of this row because I am going to change the color to yellow at the end of it. We are going to change colors in this increase, so make your first half double crochet of the increase, and then when you make the second half double crochet of the increase, pause halfway through. So here we've got 3 loops on our hook, we are going to pause. Then you can trim off the brown yarn and grab the yellow yarn. The yellow yarn, we are just going to pull through all those loops on our hook. Like so. And now we've changed to yellow. So we are just going to chain 1 to secure this in place, and then we are going to tie the yellow and brown ends in a knot. That's going to keep them from coming undone. Just be careful not to pull this knot too tight or else it's going to be really hard to see your stitch. So turn your work after chaining 1 with yellow. And then we are going to continue on like normal. We are now going to be working in single crochets, no longer half double crochets. So make a single crochet increase in this very first stitch here. So doing an increase right off the bat in single crochets, and then mark the very first single crochet that you did in yellow. And then we are going to do 3 single crochets. So it's 1, 2, and 3. And then make an increase. Then 3 single crochets, increase. And repeat that pattern until you get back to the stitch marker. So we are ending this round with 3 single crochets, not on an increase, and we are also going to pause here and change our color to orange. So doing the same thing we did before, we are going to trim off the yellow yarn and grab the orange yarn and pull it through. Then continue crocheting with orange, so chain 1, and then we are going to double knot that orange and yellow strand just to make sure it doesn't come undone. And then turn your work over. For the orange round, we are going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. So make your first single crochet in the very first stitch. And then mark this stitch. Then make 3 more single crochets. And increase. And keep repeating that pattern until you get to the other side. You are going to have 36 stitches at the end of this round. Coming up on the last increase of this round, we are not changing to red just yet. We're going to do one more round of orange. So chain 1, turn your work, and start off by making an increase in that very first stitch. And then mark the first stitch that you made, and then we are going to single crochet 5. Then increase, then single crochet another 5. At the end of this round, you're going to have 42 stitches. And at the end of this round, we are going to change our color to red. So on this last stitch here, we are going to remove the stitch marker and change the color to red. You can trim off the orange yarn. Now you can chain 1 and turn the piece. This is the last part of the tail, and we're adding a little frill, so we are going to be placing 3 half double crochets in this stitch here, then single crochet, then 3 half double crochets in the next stitch. And we're going to be following that pattern all the way around. So 3 half double crochets in one, then single crochet in the next. Then make your single crochet. Then in the next available stitch, make 3 half double crochets. Then make a single crochet, and then 3 half double crochets in the next. And keep repeating this pattern until you get back to the other side. When you're finished, trim your red yarn and pull it through. And that completes the tail. So now you can remove your stitch markers, and the worst part about the tail is weaving in all these ends. So once you weave in all the ends, I will show you how to sew everything on. We're going to start off with the beak. So once you've weaved in your middle end of the beak, you can thread your yarn needle. And I just like to tuck my tail into the beak. And you are just going to sew it on in between the eyes like so. If you've never sewed anything in crochet, it's super easy. You just poke your needle in through one side of the body and then one side of the beak. Just make sure you line up your stitches and pull really tight after each stitch. I like to hold my beak in place super well so that it doesn't get all wonky as I'm sewing. And just be sure to go through every single stitch of the beak while you're sewing it on. That's it for the beak. We can fasten off the beak and trim the yarn end. Next we're going to sew on the waddle. I like to attach my yarn needle on just one of the ends. And then I'm just going to put it on the side of the beak like so. Make sure you're happy with the placement and just sew on the very top 2 stitches of the waddle. And I'm going to do this with both the tail ends to make sure that the waddle is super secure. Now for the big tail piece. I like to attach mine just in the very center of the back, making it as low as possible without the tail feathers sticking out too far on the bottom. Just make sure you're happy with the placement before you start sewing. And instead of weaving in that middle piece, I'm just going to use that as my sewing piece. And I'm going to sew along the brown part of the tail, and then I'm going to take that tail piece and sew on a few stitches up of the brown, just to make sure that it's not super floppy and stays nice and tall. So here you can see I'm moving my thread upwards and I'm just sewing across the brown piece in random stitches in the back here. And that's it, guys. That is it for Tony the turkey. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed October's tutorial. I really enjoyed creating Tony. I will see you guys in next month's video, and be sure to follow me on Instagram if you want more content.